To this emergency breaking news that Etsy just dropped here this morning. And well, the community is just blowing up and people are panicking and people are saying that, email is no longer going to be available for Etsy sellers. And what does this mean? And I've been using Everb email, and now what am I going to do with that? And is Everb going to be around anymore? Like, there's all of these things that's happening. And if you guys have not heard the news has been this, is that Etsy just made an announcement, and basically right out of the blue, by the way. And they said that moving forward, February 5th, I believe, is the date. We're going to go ahead and read the exact email that everybody was sent, by the way. But basically that there is going to be no access to customer emails through integrations. Now, they didn't say anything about non-integrations, but they're saying integrations, meaning tools like Aweber, Everb, and the others that are using the integration. They're saying, we're no longer going to support that integration. We're no longer going to allow access to our customer emails. And basically as of February 5th, no more. And right away, we're like, well, okay, so what does that mean? And a lot of people started to panic. So what I decided to do immediately was I reached out to Cody from Everb, and we had a great talk, and we're not worried about it. To be honest with you, I'll just throw it out there. We're not worried about it. We're going to talk about what this does mean, but we're also going to talk about email in general and how we should be using it and how we can use it and how we still can collect emails, just not maybe the way that we've been doing it before. And we're going to do it in a white hat way, not a black hat way, gray hat way. We'll talk about that. But I also got in touch with Assad, who is part of the Everb team, and he is going to be joining us here today. So we're going to have direct source from Everb being able to come in here, tell us what he's hearing, what he believes this means, and all of that stuff. So yes, this is breaking news, and that's what we're going to be discussing. What I'd like you guys to do, though, in the comments is let me know right now, are you currently collecting customer emails? So let me know in the comments right now if you are, in fact, doing that. I'd like to know, just to kind of get a poll here going. Chris, let me get you in here first before we get Assad on. Let me see where Chris is. Chris, are you there?
I am
here.
There
He is. And there's Assad already.
Hey.
All right, cool. So let's go at, I want to get to Assad, but I want to first, Chris, I want to get your thoughts, your initial thoughts when we first heard this. Like, what are you feeling like this means? And maybe you can even pull up the email. Maybe you can pull up the email and then maybe read through it for people that have not received that email yet.
Yeah. So first things first, if you guys haven't seen this yet, if you are integrated with any third-party integration, be it Everb, be it Aweber, and Scott, the screenshot you sent me had like 15 integrations listed before I got this email, but this happens to be the only one that's set up with the test account that we use for demo things. So Everb is what came to me, but if you have more than one thing that had email access, you'll see all of those listed off here. And what they're saying is they're protecting shoppers' privacy on Etsy. That's the headline of the email. And they said, we're committed to keeping the Etsy marketplace safe and protecting the privacy of all of the people who shop and sell on Etsy. That's why, out of the blue, my commentary, we're going to stop sharing buyer email addresses to certain third-party integrations on February 5th. As far as I'm aware, though, Scott, it's all third-party integrations because everybody that had actual email access was listed in the original list that you sent me. Yep. We're giving you a heads up about this because it looks like you've used one or more of these third-party services. And again, this is where they'll kind of list out anything that you've had connected through their integrations in the past 60 days. And they said some third-party integrations collect buyer email addresses, which can create confusion and potentially unsafe experience for buyers who receive emails from unfamiliar or unexpected sellers. To help protect buyers and sellers, that's a weird take on this, by the way, and we'll get to that here in a minute. We recommend all communication happen through Etsy messages. This also makes it easier for our support teams to help you if there's ever an issue. Thanks for helping us protect shoppers' privacy and keep Etsy safe. So before we dive into some of the ins and outs of this, I think the real reason behind this is really getting all of the customer service stuff to happen in the Etsy messaging system. I think it's actually more about that than anything else, just reading through this and looking at this. And I think one of the problems, Scott, that they ran into in Q4 is people, and we know this from personal experience, would respond to your order has shipped emails, whatever was going out through Everb, through Aweber, through any of the other people that had an integration with Etsy email, and they would respond to those. That would then take the customer service interaction off of Etsy and make it harder for Etsy to track down if there was a problem. Etsy can see everything that happens in Etsy messages. They can't see what happens in email. And so to me, this kind of reads a lot of that problem where people would come to them and say, hey, the seller didn't ship it or whatever. They say, I reached out to him. Oh, where did you reach out to him? I sent him a message. And it seems like that's kind of where this is coming from. The other thing I want people to keep in mind is Etsy was one of the few platforms that actually gave us access to this stuff to begin with. So he's like, oh my God, the game has changed. No, Etsy's just doing what basically everybody else has already done. It makes it really inconvenient and annoying, but it's not like this is unprecedented, right? Famously, Amazon creates randomized email addresses for customers so that you can correspond about that specific order to a randomly generated Amazon email. But even if you were to scrape that email address to try to put it into your database, you wouldn't necessarily get access to it, and it would just end up going to Amazon anyway. So they are making this change. This is the stated reason. And now the question becomes, what do we do about it?
I just want to throw this up there, Chris. So this is the one that actually my business partner from our last e-commerce brand, Debbie, forwarded me this morning. This is how I was aware of it, by the way. Debbie kind of messaged me and said, hey, do you see this? But if you see here, they're giving you the heads up about this here. Customizing box is that Awkward Styles, print on demand, Everb, Factory for Me, print on demand, Aweber, Finaloop, whatever that is, eRank, Inked Joy, like any of those is what it's saying. Like those are the third-party integrations that it's basically saying that is going to be affected by. So yes, yours only showed the one. This is what she received. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Let's get Assad in here. So Assad, first off, welcome. Let me go ahead and stop sharing the screen so we can get everybody in here. So Assad, welcome. Everyone, this is Assad from Everb. And man, it's been a crazy day, right?
Yep.
Why don't you give me your take on it? And let me ask you this. Was this something that was kind of shocking to you guys too? Or was this something that you guys kind of knew was coming?
Absolutely. This was a surprise to us. We received the email, same as everyone else, every seller on Etsy.
Crazy.
We weren't notified about this earlier. We just heard about it today in our email inbox.
Isn't that crazy, Chris? Isn't that insane? Like you have developers using the integration that you're giving access to, and you don't give them a heads up. That's just insane to me.
What is the first thing I said to you in Voxer when you sent me that screenshot?
You basically said, hey, reach out to Cody and see if he was notified of this a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And maybe there's some things that we don't know about.
or even if they notified him today, you'd think they would give, I don't know, the developers that they've greenlit to use that portion of the API a little bit more information. But again, this is typically how Etsy seems to handle things, is just like, okay, let's take this away or let's add this and not tell anybody about it until kind of the last minute, and then we'll figure it out. Yeah. Right. Again, like this is not the end of the world. And that's the first thing that I want to stress. And again, this is an uncommon thing for platforms. Like Etsy for the longest time gave us much more information about our buyers than anybody else does.
Yeah.
Right. You look at any of the other big players in the marketplace or the platform space, you don't get that information unless you own the customer, right? You own your website. And so it was a very nice thing to have. And it does feel a little bit like they are giving us a bit of a rug pull, right? They're just pulling the rug out from under us. And there's not a whole lot we can do about it in terms of getting access to that email from the customer. So in my mind, yes, it sucks, right? But the question should become, what can we do? And how can we still leverage the things that we get from Etsy, as well as the general email marketing best practices to still use email? Because just because we don't get access to the buyer emails doesn't mean we shouldn't be sending emails to Etsy customers.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that. So guys, if you guys are thinking like this is just all bad news, it's not. You're actually going to probably learn something here, because I do believe moving forward, and I've said this, if you want to go back and watch some of my past videos, as far as like what 2024 is going to be for sellers, it's going to be, you got to learn about marketing. You have to become a marketer. You can't just be an Etsy shop owner. There's going to be more to it. And this email is part of it. And there are some things that we can do right now. Like you can literally do like right now still using Everb email, by the way. So Assad, let's kind of walk through it. So like, what was your first take, and like, what did you guys think right out of the gate?
Right out of the gate, we immediately thought about that, which features this is going to affect. And primarily, this is going to affect only one feature inside of Everb email, which is what we refer to as the order campaigns, which are basically for emails that go out to customers once they purchase something on Etsy. They are an order confirmation email. Once someone buys, that sent out immediately. Delivery confirmation or shipping confirmation, delivery confirmation, and a review request. These are the ones that are going to be affected. Everything else is still going to be, running as smooth as possible. What this means is, it's going to mean less communications with the buyers, or in an automated way, for updating the orders. And we've used those emails also to ask people to subscribe to the email list, to the main email list, in order to be able to send them the promotional emails later. So the way Everb email works is you need someone to subscribe in order to send them the promotional emails. These 4 emails were in accordance with Etsy's policies, in terms of only communicating with the buyers with order-related information. So immediately our thoughts are going into, well, what can we do now to help our customers, our Everb email users, to build their list faster and more effective, in order to be able to send promotional emails to their list. And we do have a few ideas in terms of new tools and new features that we're going to be releasing very soon, that are going to help people with that. And we're sure that people are going to love it, because the essence of everything that we do at Everb is the simplicity, and it's going to be simple ways to grow your list even faster.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I had a long talk with Cody on my walk this morning, and we kind of were going back and forth. And it's funny because him and I were talking probably around 3 weeks ago, and I was really telling him like there's more that that can be done about acquiring a subscriber, not even as a customer, with like discount codes and things like that. And so, I mean, I'll just throw it out there like right now, like, so anyone right now that's thinking like, okay, well, how do I get, an email of a customer? Well, one way that you can like literally do it like right now is you will need to have what we call a landing page. So you can build that right in Everb email, by the way. You can build a landing page. Now that is something, and I even talked to you about it a little bit, and we can share it. The landing page or the landing page builder that's inside of Everb email, it's very basic. It does the job, but it's very basic. But that's something that is going to most likely be improved, right? There's going to be more features built into that because now it's even more important. So here's how you can do this. If you're in Everb email right now, you create that landing page, and that landing page is going to basically say, get 20% off, join our VIP club, or join, I like VIP club because then it makes it like you're joining a club, you're going to get, discounts in the future. Plus we do like random giveaways and things like that. Sign up and you'll be part of the club. And so what you can do now is create that landing page, but where are you going to get people to see the landing page? Well, there's a few different places. Number one, you can put it in an image slot. So if you have your images, right, and you have an open slot, which most of you do, we all do. I mean, what is there, 12 or 13 spots right now at as we're recording this. But if you have one slot that basically has that in there. Get 20% off your first order or something like that. Join the club. And then you have your link right there. People will go there. They'll get the coupon. And then from there, they're going to come back to your shop, because in Everb email, the cool thing is as soon as they give you their email address in that landing page, you're automatically taken to a thank you page, which then has a link right there that goes right back to your shop. So that's the other cool thing about that. So that's something you can do like right now. And yes, it's not as good as like getting a customer or getting an email from the customer, but it's actually almost the same thing, because you're actually incentivizing them to become a customer by a discount code. All right. And so that's one place. You can also take that, put it in the description. You can put it in your announcement. So there's a few different places. And the other thing is, and Asad, maybe you can speak to this, because I was brainstorming with my business partner that's, she's been doing Etsy longer. She was like, why can't we just take that announcement, or not the announcement, the email that goes out automatically to our customers, and then just put our landing page in there too? And I'm like, we can, right? So we can still do these different things, and we can still bring them into the Everb email platform. So this way here, we can then do our email marketing. And that's really what I want people to understand is, like you said, Asad, it's one feature. Okay. One feature. It was a cool feature. Don't get me wrong. But right now, let's just get those email subscribers in there, whether they're a customer or maybe a potential customer. And then let's communicate with those people, and let's try to get them to become a customer, or have them become a repeat customer, because now we can follow up with those people. Anything I missed on that, Asad? Any other things that I missed?
No, absolutely. I mean, you've nailed it. I mean, it's all about using that subscriber link, which is already in there, and sharing it creatively, whether it's on social media, whether it's in the first email that goes out from Etsy, subscribe here, in the image slot, even in the links that Etsy provides for your about shop, and everywhere else on Etsy, to encourage people to subscribe, whether you're giving away a discount, or you're offering them a free digital download, anything of value to them that's relevant to your store, that would encourage them to subscribe.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. And I want to come back to what I had said earlier. Like, everyone is going to be like, this is doom and gloom, right? Like, this is over. Like, Everb email is not going to be useful anymore. Here's the deal. You're going to need an email platform to allow you to send emails to either potential customers or customers. Okay. And you might be saying, well, Scott, you just said you can't collect the email from a customer. No, I can't do it through Etsy, but I can do it through offering them a discount. Okay. Or by offering them to join our VIP club, where we do monthly giveaways, which that's another thing, guys. Like, if you have a product, right? And let's say that you buy it from Printify for $12 and you sell it for 30 or 35, right? It costs you $12. Why not like do a giveaway every single month where you give one away to your email list? And that's the incentive, right? Like, that's like one simple thing that everyone can do. And people would look forward to your email to see if they won, to see what you're going to be offering this month. There's a lot of cool things that you can do. We just have to be creative with it, but we also have to put our marketing hat on. All right. And that's what I want you guys to realize. Like, you're here right now, whether you're on the Everb channel, whether you're on our brand creators channel or in the groups or whatever, like, we're here to help you. Everb's here to help you. And that's the big thing. And this tool, the email side of it, I've used a lot of email marketing tools. This is built for the Etsy seller. Why don't we go through that real quick, Asad? Why would someone want to use Everb email if you can't collect the customer emails? Like, what can it do for us if we have the email and we can send that out? Like, what else can we do with the tool?
Beautiful question. Thank you for that. So one of the main things is that Everb email is already integrated with Etsy. This means that you can create your emails and attach your products directly from your Etsy store inside of your emails. Now, there are different options for that. You can decide to, if you can, decide to promote one specific product, so you can feature this one product and talk about it in the email. Or if you just want to have something more automated, you can have an email that goes out every week showing your newest listings that you have added to your store. Or you can show bestsellers, you can show your featured collections inside of Etsy. So that integration allows you to seamlessly integrate your emails with your Etsy shop and promote your products this way.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, I was just actually talking to my wife about this before I got on here, and I was telling her like all of the things that you still can do. And it's like, but everyone is thinking it's all bad. But that's powerful. So to be able to say, okay, I'm going to put items in my Etsy shop in a featured list, right? You can select, I believe, up to 4, right? So you have that featured list or bestsellers or any of that stuff. What other tool allows you to go and literally set that to be displayed and pull in that data and put into your email? So if you're thinking like Everb doesn't have access to API now, that's incorrect. They just don't have access to email. That's it. That's the only thing that Everb doesn't have access to right now, as all the other companies that are doing the integrations.
And maybe we should clarify it. It's not that we don't have access to email. We don't have access to the email address of the buyer.
Yes. Very important.
And I think,
Chris, you want to say something?
I think that's something to point out, because we're seeing a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, well, I'm using like this shipping program and they have access to the email, so I can still get it. Or like the whole point of this is that Etsy is taking that field out of the API, right? Like they're going to block access to that field. So even if you think you have a workaround to like get it right now, you're probably not going to have that starting February 5th. Right. And even if you can find one, right, like copy and paste it or scrape it, or, there's always going to be a way to get this information. The question you should be asking is, should I? Right? Before February 5th, it's totally cool for us to get that information. Right? Etsy's giving us that information. As long as we're using it in the way that the terms of service allow us to use it, then we can get that information. After February 5th, they're saying, you don't have access to this information. So going around that and thinking that you can find a way around that, and then still emailing Etsy customers because you found a super secret ninja hacky way to get their email address, also not a great idea, right? So if we get it legitimately, cool. If we're doing something shady to try to scrape it or do any of those kinds of things, we're not passing that mom test, right? If you told your mom how you were getting it and your mom was Etsy, would she be cool with it? Probably not. They're still going to crack down on that, right? So just be wary of any of the like hacky ways to try to find email. If you think you have a workaround for it, the answer is you probably don't, even if it's a different program that's not Everb. And if you guys were here with us when we started, we posted a big list of integrations, but basically any of the shipping platforms, Everb, Aweber, any of the tools that are trying to get that field via the API, that field will be going away. Asad, am I missing something there?
No, that's absolutely correct. And I just wanted to add something that once you have a subscriber, even doesn't have to be a buyer, someone who subscribed to your email list through your email link, through that landing page, that person, that their email address now becomes yours. You're free to send them emails. They basically just have given you the consent to receive those promotional emails in the future. So what I would encourage everyone to do is, share that link everywhere, share it on Etsy, on social media, everywhere, to get people to subscribe. And now that email address is, part of your list. Etsy can't take that away from anyone. Yeah,
it's really important that people understand that. I will give a little tip here. And by the way, too, Chris, we should probably share, we've had an email marketing playbook for Etsy that we've been giving away for the last 12 months. And it really has nothing to do with like collecting the customer emails. It has to do with like email marketing, like how to do it properly. If you guys want access to that, just in the comments, if you just want to put in email, just put in email, and we'll go ahead and we'll get that over to you. It's a guide. I believe it's like 60+ pages, and it goes through our strategy that we've used to build a list, but then also be able to market to that list. But anyway, so what I did want to say was, if you are using that link, like Assad just said, I have a pro tip for you. Okay. And that pro tip is this: I would buy a domain name. Okay. I would buy a domain name that was very short, very easy to remember, and something that someone could key in without making a spelling error. Okay. And what I mean by that is, you can go right to GoDaddy or whatever provider you want to go to. I use GoDaddy. Go to GoDaddy.com and then buy a very simple domain name. I'll give you an example of how this might look. So if I go into, I'm going to go into my banners here so I can put this up on the screen. See this right here? That's email4shops.com. Okay. Clever, right? I just threw that link in there. Well, that's a very simple link. That link goes over to Everb Growth, where you can sign up and you can become an Everb email user. I could have given you my raw link that was long, and you'd have to type in this long, really ugly link. But all I need to do now is just give out this link, email4shops.com. Okay. Yours could be bassfishingvip.com, right? Just create that link. You're going to forward that link now, or that domain name. You're going to forward that using your link that they give you in Everb email. And now people don't have to remember that link. They just have to remember this link, or they have to key in this one. So that's a little pro tip there for you. That's what I would be doing. And that's what I would be using in my images that you're going to be putting in your image slot, or in your description, or in your announcement, or in your first email, or your first message that goes out. Now, Chris, someone did ask about that. They're like, so wait, they're not allowing us to get the emails, but can we still see their email in our orders? Because if it's not available in the API, and Assad, you might know the answer to this too. It's not through the API, but if I go into my order, can I still see their email? And if I can I use it?
So I'm not sure if that is also going to limit the ability of sellers to see the email address in their dashboard. Now, taking that, but let's assume that email is visible. Can a seller take that email and plug it into their email list? Well, technically they can. Should they? Probably not, because that would be in violation of Etsy's rules.
Yeah.
The customer hasn't given consent to receive promotional emails. By default, by buying from Etsy, they give consent to receive transactional emails or order emails, but not the promotional emails.
Yeah. Here's the deal too. And I was actually talking to Debbie again this morning on this. And I was like, you could literally take those same emails, because people in the comments were saying, but man, those emails work so good on those first 4 emails. People were loving them. And I'll agree. Like, I'm getting emails every single day in my wife's account, in our email, because people enjoy them. They're like, wow, thanks so much for reaching out. Thanks so much for taking care of us. Thanks so much. I love your shop. I can't wait to come back. I'm going to buy more. Like, we get so much positive from that. Now, there's probably people that have abused it, and that might be why this is happening. Don't know. But there's nothing saying you couldn't do this though. Okay. First off, that first message that you can write in your messages. Now, this isn't an email necessarily. I believe it's a message that goes out, and it's automated. Now, you can do this inside of your Etsy account right now. You can take that same email that you were using in Everb email and use that as your email, and get people to subscribe. You can get people, give them their information that they need, let them know that you're there, and all of that stuff. There's also nothing saying that you can't go in there and manually copy and paste an email that you would have sent through Everb email in messages about when the order gets shipped or when it's been delivered. Now, would anybody want to do that? Probably not. It's going to be a lot of work. Could you hire someone to do that part-time? Probably. But I don't know that there's enough upside in doing that versus just using the automation that we already have available to us. Any thoughts on that? Like the follow-up to get people to kind of see our stuff in the very beginning? Either one of you, Assad, Chris?
that's, we've had these discussions, and these are definitely some of the automation tools that we're considering having, that would help the sellers communicate and engage more with the buyers. So yeah, it's something that we're considering, definitely.
Okay, cool. All right. And Chris, I know that you got a lot of questions coming in. We got over 426 people here right now watching this. So, you know what I mean? Like we can tell this is a big deal. We want to answer your questions too while we're here. But I did want to say this, like right now, if you think about it, let's say that, and I don't know, Assad, I don't know if you know the number, if you have the number. I mean, maybe you can find it and we can kind of come back and do another update. But like, I'm curious, what was the percentage for most people getting an email subscriber of a customer? I know for us, it was around 20%. Okay. So out of 100 customers, we were getting 20 emails that were subscribing, right, to that email, which is good. But it wasn't 100, it wasn't 80, right? It was 20. So you're still losing some of those people. And I think by doing it the way that we kind of are forced to do it now, we're almost forcing people, in a sense, in a good way, to get the offer, to get the discount, to give us their email address. So now it's not like, well, now, and sometimes they might not even have not wanted to subscribe. They just might have missed that part of the email. But now it's like, get 20% off, go here, put your name and email address in to receive it. And then you do that, you give it to them. To me, that is going to convert higher as far as getting someone to become an email subscriber, but it's also going to now allow you to communicate with those people legally. And I also think that now we have to start thinking like marketers. We have to think, okay, how can we email our email list every single week? And I know to some of you that you might be like, that's a lot. It's really not. If you have activity in your account, a new product that you release, you have maybe a sale that you're going to run. Maybe you have new Valentine's Day stuff that's coming out right now and you're letting people know. Like there's so much that you can communicate just by being real and transparent about your shop and letting people know who's behind it, but then also what's going on in it. So I just wanted to say, collecting the customer email was cool, but it wasn't like you were getting 100 out of 100, right? Anything you wanted to say on that, Assad?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen varying ranges from, as low as 1%, 5%, even 10%.
Okay.
I want to say like 20% is really great conversion.
Well, we do write good email, Yeah.
It's almost like we've done this for a while.
It's like we've done this before. If people would have just used the templates that we gave them. I mean, I don't know. No, but I'm just kidding. But we were getting upwards of 20%.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's more about now shifting the focus from just relying on emails to putting in different ways of getting people to subscribe to the email list, whether it's as you said, a coupon or a free offer.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of ways. A lot of the sellers that I know, they do have whether it's Facebook channels or Facebook groups or pages, Instagram, TikTok. All of these are great places to encourage people to subscribe to your email list. And in fact, what I would do is, instead of selling on social media should remain a place where you're interacting socially with your followers, with the shop followers. So instead of selling there, promote the discount, get them to your email list, and then start promoting and selling your products through the email list, and keep the social media channels, more social, like I would say 70-80% social and 20 to 30% promotions.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that. That's what we've been living by. And I mean, so I've had a lot of people that say, like, even just about advertising, like, okay, if I'm going to advertise on Facebook, do I drive them right to my Etsy shop? And my answer is no. My answer is you're going to drive them to your landing page that's going to give them a discount. So your ad might say something like, get 25% off limited quantity or limited spots or whatever, right? And then you basically are going to push that Maybe you're doing a product launch and you want to push that. Well, now you're going to drive them to a landing page that's going to get their email address, and then you're going to send them off to the Etsy shop, because now, even if they don't buy, we know that they were interested. So that's one way. Second way, and this is my most favorite way, we actually have a whole class that we taught on this that we're giving away for people that sign up for Everb email, is basically where we do giveaways. So we will create a giveaway, a suite of our products, 4 or 5 of our products. We'll usually make the value about $100 to $200, depending. And we'll run that for like 14 days. And we will drive Facebook ads, usually $5 a day. And we'll drive them over to our giveaway. And then they will opt in. They will give us their email address to basically throw their name in the hat. We call it the fishbowl method, because you imagine a fishbowl, you write down your name and number and your email address, and you drop it in the fishbowl, and you mix them up and you pull out the winner. So that's a great way of doing it, because on Facebook, we can target people that are interested in our niche, and then we can put something out there of interest that they might be interested in. If they are, they're going to put their name in. And then if they are, we're going to be able to follow up with those people. So to me, that's the way. Like, that's what we've been doing. We actually built a business, our e-commerce business, years ago, using just that right there to launch physical products.
And Scott, remind me, what was one of the main reasons that we built our email list that way, to launch that brand on Amazon?
Basically,
could it possibly be?
Yeah,
because we knew if we got sales on Amazon, we couldn't get the customer email address, right? So we had to backwards engineer it, which is exactly what we're doing now, right? Like, this is not rocket surgery. This is basic email marketing. We just don't get the customer side of this anymore. So we have to be a little bit more proactive. And I think the fishbowl method is one of the best ways to do this for a couple of reasons. And Scott, you and I get asked all the time about whether people should be spending money on social media ads. And if you're going to do it, the best way to do this, because you can't really track conversions from the social media ad and optimize your Facebook pixel through an Etsy sale. But what you can track are leads, because you control that landing page. So whether you're driving it directly to a discount for a product in a product launch style, where you're saying, hey, get 25% off our new stuff, click here, give us your email address, we'll send you that. You get the email address that way. But the better, less expensive, better use of dollars way of doing that is something like the fishbowl method, where for even just a few dollars a day, you can build a massive email list of people who are explicitly interested in the types of things that you sell, because that's what you're giving away, are the exact types of things that you sell. They opt in for the chance of that. You get the email address, and you can use the power of Facebook ads or wherever you're running these ads and really leverage the learning capability that they have to bring that cost way, way, way down to a few pennies per email, which is a lot of times what we see when we run those giveaways for longer than a couple days.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've worked very, very well for us. Someone had said, good luck with with that on Facebook. Yeah, I know people are going to doubt that you can do it, but you can. And honestly, it's not as hard as you would think. And now, like, Facebook has really good targeting, their Advantage Plus, which is becoming even better. But we're not going to get into all of that stuff. And I'm not here to convince you that that's what you have to do. That's what we're doing. And we've been doing the email marketing thing for years. And with my wife's Etsy shop, we were doing that, I don't want to say day one, but pretty early on. And then we started to get a little bit more aggressive with it. And it's definitely paid off. And now that we can actually track the sales that come through email, because their email link, we can actually use that link that Etsy gives us, the share and save program that they rolled out. And we can see, I think maybe it was we shared that one case study, 30 days, we had like $3,200 in sales just from email. So it's definitely worth it. It definitely works. But it does take some learning. I'm not going to lie to you. It does take some learning, but isn't that what, like, if you have a new job, you got to learn how to do that, right? So why not learn a skill that's going to help you now and well into the future? All right, cool. So Assad, anything else you wanted to add to this before we open up these questions? We got a bunch of questions we got to get to.
I'm just going to say, this is just the start of email. It's really important. It's like today, this one change with Etsy could come up with a different change that could affect your store. So the one thing that really stands the test of time is having an email list that you can tap into every time that you want to get more sales. So build that email list, share your subscribers link to get those email addresses. And just one basic rule of thumb that I've noticed being in email marketing is for every person on your email list, typically you would see $1 in sales per month. So if you have a list of 2,000 people, then you should be expecting to see at a minimum $2,000 in sales per month from that email list.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, that's definitely like the general, and I would say it could be higher. You know what I mean?
Much
Like
higher.
it just depends. And it could be lower too. And a lot of that has to do with like how you acquired the email address and things like that. But that's why if you're using the giveaway, the fishbowl method, as we call it, if you're using that, we're literally putting out our products and we're saying, you like these? You do? You want to win these? Well, just go ahead and put your name in and we're going to do a drawing at the end of the month or in 14 days or whatever. That right there is filtering out people that are like, I don't want that. I'm not into that. Right. So that's why we do it that way. And when we're doing our targeting, we're doing it very, very specifically. Like when we're writing the ad, which isn't really complicated. It's just we're calling it out in the very headline, right? Like if you're selling bass fishing products and be like, are you a bass fishing lover? ? You might want these, or you're going to want these, or something like that, right? You call it out in the very first part of the as we call it, ad copy. So yeah, but anyway, yeah, there's a lot of questions coming in. I just want people to realize like email marketing is very powerful and it can seem overwhelming. It doesn't have to be. And like I mentioned earlier, we have a playbook, our email marketing playbook that we basically created for Etsy shop owners. If you want a copy of that, just drop in the comments email, just drop in email and we will go ahead and we'll get that out to you. So this way here, you guys can go through that and it'll show you how we've used email to drive traffic, drive sales, and build our list. So it's all in there. And I think it's going to be more important moving forward here in 2024 and beyond. So Chris, why don't you start pulling up some questions here while we got aside and we can go ahead and get to the bottom of these.
Yeah, so the first thing Shelly said, but the transactional emails, the ones that are going away because Etsy is removing the email address from the API, those are our 4 chances to get the subscriber. And while that does kind of stink in terms of getting the customer to turn into a subscriber, we have to think about this the way that we think about this on basically every other platform, which is how can I turn anybody into a potential subscriber? And then how can I turn those subscribers into customers and really build that list? And we talked about a few different ways. And I think one of the ones that I know you guys mentioned, but I think it's missed by most sellers is if you go into your settings and you click on the About Your Shop section, there's a story tab in there, which no one seems to actually ever use. Like we do these shop reviews, Scott, and I don't know that I've ever seen somebody actually fill out their whole like shop story section. But if you scroll down, there's a whole section called Shop Links in that section that allows you to link off of Etsy to a bunch of other places like Facebook and your own website. So if you include it nowhere else, and you shouldn't include it in the other places that we talked about, make sure you're including it in your shop link section. Take them right to that landing page that you build, whether you're giving them a percentage off or whatever it is. The people who come through that link not only visited your shop, which based on the Etsy buyer survey means that they're more likely to be higher value Etsy customers, but they also then signed up to be on your email list. So they're higher value customer that you now have access to, right? So make sure you're linking it there. If you're going to include those calls to action anywhere else, do that, but do not sleep on the shop link section just because you may have never seen it before. Scott, instead of a product, you add a landing page that offers a coupon. When they take the coupon, are they asked if they want to subscribe? So if we're running a Facebook ad or we're driving somebody to opt in for 20% off, do we have to get them to double opt in or opt in again? Or does that count as them opting in to hear from us?
Okay. So there's 2 different ways that you can do this. There is what they call a double opt-in. Okay. We have done both, but to be honest with you, the way that we do it is we do a single opt-in. Basically, if they enter their name and email address, they are going to get put on our email list. every single email though, and this is by law, you have to do this anyway. There's an unsubscribe button at the bottom of the email. But what we tend to do is we will remind people that we are going to be sending weekly or, emails on occasion. And if they don't want to receive them anymore, go to the bottom of this email and click unsubscribe. Like we literally, we outline that for them in the first couple of emails. Like we'll mention that. And this way here, if people are like, yeah, no, I don't want to receive anything, then they'll unsubscribe. But for the most part, and again, we've been doing this a long time. I have not had many people. I mean, I'd say if I had 10 people that basically just reached out and said, hey, can you unsubscribe me? And that's just because if they want to unsubscribe, the link's right there in every single email that you send. So it'll literally be there. So if they say, I want to unsubscribe, you just go, no problem. And then you go to the bottom of that email and you click unsubscribe for them. You're literally just doing it for them. It's that simple. So I'm not a fan of double opt-ins. I don't think it's necessary as long as you are doing the follow-up and you're including your unsubscribe link. What's your thoughts on that? And Assad, I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, personally, I prefer the single opt-in. If people don't want to receive the emails afterwards, it's easy for them to unsubscribe.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you look at the numbers, a lot of people will say that a double opt-in gives you a better list. I've never seen that be the case in the literally hundreds of millions of e-commerce emails that I've sent. And a big portion of the reason is when you do a double opt-in, after they've opted in, you say, hey, did you really want to opt in? Right? A lot of people miss that email because it looks like spam. So Google or Hotmail or whoever ends up sending it to spam, and then you can't get them on your email list, right? By them opting in to get the thing from you, they have opted into the list. Now, the one exception I would say to this would be something like the GDPR requirements that are in the European Union, but you still don't have to send them the email. There's just a checkbox usually that's associated with that form that you would want to include on that. So if you are in the EU, you would want to look at something like that. But that again would be a double opt-in just when they're opting in originally. Okay, I have a mostly digital store and I'm going to have a lot of angry customers because I'm sending them their digital download via email. We now have to do that via the instant messaging or the Etsy messaging system, right? And Scott, I think that's how you and I have always done it with digital products. I'm trying to think of a way that we weren't doing that other than, using the Everb email to do that. But for the most part, we've always delivered those via the Etsy messaging system. Is that accurate? How are we doing that?
And Assad, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. But yeah, I mean, we've always so in that message, you can drive them to a link that's a PDF or something, right? Like you can totally do that. And then in that PDF could be an opt-in, you know what I mean? Like you could kind of take that further, but yeah, they're still going to have to allow you to deliver that thing, right? If it's a digital download. And that's in that, like when you select that you're selling a digital download, they're going to ask you to give them the resource, right? And so Assad, what's your thoughts on that?
When it comes to sending an email after a digital download, I mean, typically digital downloads are delivered via Etsy. But if someone is subscribing to your email list via your subscribe link for a digital download, that's the offer, that's the value that you're giving them, then you can send that from Everb email, and because they're already subscribed.
Yeah, for sure.
So Assad, the situation you're talking about there is like, say we're selling a cutting board and we give a PDF, a digital PDF as a bonus with that of 25 recipes or something like that, right? And so if that's the case, then they still would go to whatever that link is, which you deliver to them via the Etsy message or, the order confirmation.
It should have to be via the Etsy message. That part, yes.
Yeah. And wouldn't that would be the automated message that we've been talking about to get people to join your list anyway. So It would kind of be like, you're going to deliver that free PDF. Now, again, if you're going to do that, then that PDF should probably be like, hey, enter your email address because you want to verify that they're a customer to receive the thing. And then basically they're going to get a thank you page that comes up that gives them the link. And that's how you would do that. So you're basically giving them the link to basically get access to the thing, if that makes sense. Okay, go ahead, Chris. I know you got a bunch there queued up.
So devil's advocate here. I can't tell you how many products or services I'm turned away from because they required my email address to be able to visit the product. So there's, in any of the ways that we talked about getting email addresses, you wouldn't be required to give an email to see the product, right? They can always go see it. It would be to get the discount, right? And so, yes, you are one of, I would argue, a minority of people just based on the email marketing stats who say, I don't want to give you my email for anything. The vast majority of people are willing to do that. But the real answer is you have to give them enough value in exchange for the email address. So I think it was Scorpion Deity, which is a killer YouTube username. You don't necessarily meet that threshold for you. It's harder for you personally to meet that threshold by them saying, hey, like if you want a 10% discount, you got to sign up for the email. You're like, that's not worth 10% to me, right? A lot of people it would be. So the question would be, what is worth it for you to give over that piece of information? And that's the way that we need to be approaching this. When we're creating an offer, whether it's the giveaway or a discount or whatever it is, the question that we have to answer is, what is enough value that someone in my target market, so if I'm selling bass fishing stuff, what is enough value for a bass fisherman that they're willing to give me that email address in exchange for? And that's one of the reasons that the giveaway model or the fishbowl method works so well, because you're very easily able to meet and exceed that threshold for most people by saying, hey, it's $100 value or $200 value. In most cases, people are going to be willing to give you their email address for the chance to win that. And then as long as we're not spamming people on the back end, Assad, to your point earlier about the email marketing mix and not just being overly promotional and beating people over the head with, we have really cool t-shirts over on Etsy, right? As long as we're meeting the threshold for them to give that address over, and then we're meeting their requirements that they have in order to stay on the list, meaning we're delivering actual value in addition to promotion, then we're going to get that email and keep that email from the vast majority of the audience. But at the end of the day, we're never going to please everybody. And so what we have to shoot for is that Pareto principle of what can we do to get 80% of the people in the door on the list and then go from there. Because there's always going to be people that have really weird expectations about stuff. And Scott, I think I think you said 5 or 10 people maybe have emailed you and said, unsubscribe me. That's usually followed by unsubscribe me from your list. You big old fat jerk. You send me so many emails and you look and they've gotten one. Right. And so it's like, okay, you're just having a bad day.
I'm offended, Chris. So, big fat jerk.
We can't. You're on a New Year's diet. You're going to be fine.
I know.
we can't worry about that because you're always going to have somebody who we caught on the wrong day or whatever. We have to focus on the core of our audience and meeting their expectation to get them on the list, and then meeting that expectation to keep them on the list and turn them into that customer that can return the average email marketing ROI of 42 to 1. Right. So for every dollar that we spend, we can expect about a $42 return from email marketing. Again, on average in the e-commerce world. How do we do that? We do that by focusing on that 80% to meet and keep them on the list.
I just want to respond real quick. Ted had said something about like the resolution on the amount of, or the size of the image that you can actually include in an Etsy message is not good. So the workaround there is to just link them to the file, right? Dropbox, Google Drive, like something like that. It doesn't really matter. You just link them over to a place that they can download that. So the link is just going to drive them to the download area. That's how you'd get around that workaround. I just want to be respectful of Assad's time. Assad, are you good? I mean, we're kind of hanging out here. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You got to jump. Just let us know. We're known to go a little bit long on these to answer questions, but we just want to make sure that you're cool. Chris, any other, I know there's a bunch, but where do you want to go next? You got a bunch starred here. So
the first thing is I just wanted to give Karen a quick shout out. She said, been following you since October, opened my shop because of your videos. I made my first 6K in just 2 months. Thank you for your great content. It helps a lot. Glad to hear it. Keep up the good work. And I think, Scott, the big moral of the story today is Etsy's a changing, and Etsy's going to keep a changing. And the only thing that we can do is focus on the real business principles that we would be using, whether we had Etsy as a platform or not. We should not, anytime they make these changes, run into the panic of Chicken Little, the sky is falling, right? Everything is coming to an end. The reality here is not a lot has changed. There's a minor inconvenience, but we really just have to focus on what would give us the long-term success, regardless of whether we were using Etsy or not, which is building and cultivating that email list. Scott, Barbara Winfrey said, I started email. I only have one subscriber, which is a great start. I'm still not understanding how we can get new subscribers. So we talked a little bit about the fishbowl method, but can you give Barbara and anybody else who's wondering just a quick bullet pointed list of some of the things that we've talked about?
Yeah, very, very, very quickly. And again, even go back to this later after this is a replay. But basically, the first thing that I would do is I would offer a discount, and I would create that landing page. And we're talking about Everb email because they give you the ability to create that landing page right inside, create that with the discount. And then from there, what we want to do is we want to be able to collect that email address. So we're going to drive them over to that. And then from there, what I would do, and this is a little bit more advanced, but I would do this is where I would create a short link. And what I mean by that is not Bitly or even, any of the others. I'm talking about buying a domain name for like $10. And it could be, like I said, bassfishingclub.com, right? And then you're going to include that link, and that link is going to go to your landing page. And now we're talking about Everb email. I mean, you can use any landing page builder that you want, but that's the one that we're talking about. But you're basically going to do that. And I would take that link now and I would use it in an image slot. So the image slot would be join our Bass Fishing Club, get monthly discounts starting with 20% right now, right? And then that would be that. So that would go in the image slot, in the announcement, in the description of your listings, and then also in the follow-up email for people that are, not the follow-up email, the follow-up message that's being done through Etsy that you can pre-write. That would be more of a generic email for any customer and say, hey, we got your order. We're putting it together as we speak. We know you're going to love it. And then in there, you might have something that then drives them over to your VIP club where they can join to get future discounts. And then that would go in there as well. So those are just some quick ideas, a little bit more advanced. And I say advanced, not really. It does require a little bit more work, is building a giveaway. And then I would then go to Facebook, start $5 a day, $2 a day on some Facebook ads, targeting people that that are in your audience. And then from there, getting them to enter into an email giveaway where you can then build the list that way. So there's a bunch of different ways we can do this. It's just don't overcomplicate it, but that is kind of like the bullet point list of how I would do it.
Yeah. One for Assad, inside of Everb, where, how, what do we need to do to create a landing page? Is that something that people can do, and can they use that to do any of the things that we were just talking about?
Sure. So as we talk about, like the landing page that we have right now, which we refer to as the subscriber page, it is very basic at the moment. There are a few things that you can customize, but you can't add to it at the moment. The way to get to it is if you go to the subscribers tab on the top, you click on there, then you will see two buttons, the subscription page and the confirmation page. Click on the subscription page. You'll see the URL for that page on the top. You can copy it and paste it anywhere. You can also customize the look and feel and part of the text that's in there. Very soon, we'll have the ability to completely build it from scratch to however way you want it, and have multiple pages. That will help you tremendously in terms of building your email list faster and better. But for now, this is where it's at.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Someone had just asked here, and I've got a little hack for this, but I know that Everb is gonna make this happen too. Let's see. Yeah, so I found the Everb landing page, but how can I automatically send a message to give the promo code for new subscribers only? Okay, so something that you can do, like, and again, make Assad if there's something that I'm missing here, but like right now, I would probably create a generic code that only people that get to the landing page would be able to see. Okay, that would be the hack. Now in the future, you might be able to have multiple codes. Don't know. This would be something for Everb's development team and, for them to sit down and discuss. But at the very like basic level, if you advertise that you're going to give 25% off, you just create a 25% off code that never expires. Let's just say it never expires. And then you're basically going to take the code that you create, whatever that is, BAS 25. And then you're going to basically put that on your thank you page when you customize it. And then from there, you'd be able to go over to the shop and enter that and do all of that stuff. Now there's probably going to be more options here. I just have a hunch that Everb is going to be working on this pretty aggressively.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say the other way to do it, just Assad, the way that you were just talking about, where you can go into your confirmation page, you can customize the text on the button, right? So you can customize the follow-up text in the email that they would get after they opt in, but you can also customize the text on the button to include that code, meaning they would have to opt in to even be able to get to the confirmation page to get to that button. So you can say, like, go to my shop, use code ABC123 to save 10%, right? Yep. And as long as we're not giving them 95% off, even if somebody were to like try to game the system and opt in a bunch of times, which is not as common of a thing as most people think that it is, right? Like that's always the concern that people have, but it really doesn't happen. If you're doing 10%, 15%, you're not that worried about it. You're still picking up the sale. And if somebody really wants to go out of their way to do that, you're still getting the sale. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But even in the short term, you can use the existing built-in landing page and confirmation page to deliver that even before they get the follow-up email from people.
Yeah. There's a lot we can do here, guys. And again, like this whole thing was to kind of let you guys know, like, it's going to be okay, right? Like it's going to be okay. And if anything, and I'll just say it right here, even with Assad here, about Everb, they're basically going to be pushed a little harder right now to kind of make some of these things that were going to be there. They're going to happen faster. I can tell you that right now. Assad, am I wrong? Am I wrong?
100% correct.
Yeah. Team Everb email is on it. I can tell you that right now. I talked to Cody this morning and man, there's some things that I told him that I'd like to see built. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you, Scott, that, they obviously, they respect my opinion and all that stuff. I've been in this for a long time. He's like, if there's anything we can build that you can come up with and we can actually do it, we'll probably do it. So there's one thing that they're potentially going to build. It's going to require a little bit more work, but if they build that, doing what we're talking about is going to become even easier. So you want to get in now. So this way here, you can kind of get yourself in to the Everb email marketing system. So this way here, you start to learn it, but you also start to build it and it's all done inside. I would rather build it in Everb email now than build it in something else and then have to export and import. I'd rather start here and bring it in. But I think stay tuned because there's going to be some really big things coming. And I don't know how quick, but I can tell you one thing, there's going to be some things happening here pretty quickly, at least on the surface level with some of the things we already talked about. Chris, what else?
Is there any chance Everb will reach some kind of agreement with Etsy? So this is not an Everb thing. This is an Etsy thing.
Yeah.
Right. So they're taking it away from everybody that has API access as of the 5th. So unless Cody has some sort of Etsy magic up his sleeve, it's not just going away from Everb, it's going away from everybody else. But the real answer is, how do we deal with this moving forward? Because even if Everb did have the exclusive rights to a super secret API field, we would still need to be able to do all of these other things. And that just kind of lights a little bit of a fire under Assad and his team to get everything going. How are people getting set up with that percentage off coupon code? Are you just creating a percentage off code that runs continually? The answer is, yeah, you just set up the coupon code in the back end of Etsy and then share that code via the confirmation email and on the thank you page, or as Everb refers to it, the confirmation page, right? If you're worried about having a coupon that runs all of the time, and as somebody who comes from the e-commerce world, I can tell you that becomes a giant pain in the butt when you start to see people who find a code that you thought was disabled 6 months ago for 85% off on Black Friday or whatever, and you see a bunch of orders start coming through because one of the coupon sites picked it up. All you have to do, disable that code, create a new one, and put it on your confirmation page, put it in that confirmation email, and you're done. But all we're doing is putting a 10% off coupon code in the back end of Etsy and then sharing that code inside of the Everb confirmation page and the confirmation email.
I want to give a little shout out here. Michelle says, just bought my short link domain while on the call. You guys always over deliver on info and tips. So awesome. Love it.
We did have somebody,
There we
Scott,
go.
over on, I believe they're in the Everb chat. I have like 7 chat windows open.
Yeah.
Who said, you're saying these domains are cheap, but in Canada, they're $69 on GoDaddy. Like every domain is $69 Canadian. And I know the Canadian dollar is a little weaker than the US dollar, but is there a way around that? Like, I've never heard of a domain outside of something that was
we've
like
got someone that's
domain.
from Canada right here on the line. Let's ask him. Let's ask him.
It depends if it's well, yeah, as you can see, I'm in Canada. The GoDaddy does have some weird pricing. Typically, I buy my domains from Google Domain, which is now Squarespace domains. Namecheap is a good option, but typically, like GoDaddy, like if it's not a premium email account, it's typically 10 to 14 Canadian dollars.
Okay. And that's about, so if you're seeing it for 69, maybe you just got to pick a different name. Like maybe it's just that you've picked a premium name. I've never heard of that. Michelle says hers was a penny because she must have got the special.
Yeah.
So it's a penny for the first year, and the next year it's like $9.99 or something.
Right. Now, and I have to say with GoDaddy, if it's a .com or a .ca in Canada, it will be usually on the average price or on the low price. But if the domain that you're picking is .store or .biz or one of those fancy,
The extensions. Yeah.
extensions, then yes, it will be higher, regardless if it was in Canada or in the US.
Yeah, no, and I would stick with the .com if you can anyway. I would do that more so than anything. If you can get the .com, get the .com.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know where they're getting this from. I just happened to go to GoDaddy.com or GoDaddy.ca to see, and they have a deal where it's like a penny for the first year, but it's actually on the 3-year registration, and that they're charging you $29.99.
Oh yeah.
And so what you want to look for is just whatever the cheaper price is for the year registration, or if they do have a deal like that and it's $69.99 for 3 years, then you just have to really, okay, it's $23 a year or whatever it is. But the other trick is just to go to, if you want to use something like GoDaddy, just open an incognito window or log onto a VPN, put yourself in Colombia, put yourself wherever you want to go, and you can get domains pretty cheap through there. But Squarespace and Assad, that just happened a couple months ago, right? Where they bought out Google domains. There's a handful of other places where you can go. HostGator usually has pretty cheap domains. Any place where you want to go to buy it, just Google cheap domains, right? And you'll always find somebody that's running that like 1 penny special. You can find stuff pretty cheap. The more specialized domains, Assad, to your point, like your .shop, your .app, .co,
Store.
right?
Yeah.
Some of those kinds of things that are less common typically have a higher cost associated with them. And quite honestly, you probably don't want to use those anyway. It's better to rely on the .com because that's usually what people will type in. So if you say, go to myshop.co, they'll go to myshop.com and be like, this is water bottles. This isn't bass fishing stuff. Scott, we have somebody in the chat proposing a drinking game every time we say the word bass or fishing. That seems like a terrible idea. If you've ever watched one of our live videos, that's typically the example that we use. And so that is not a smart life choice, but to each their own. Heather said, I have an older version of your email building that I'm going to review. I assume that even if they take the coupon, that I have to ask for permission to put them on my list. So if they're opting in for the coupon, that is the permission to get them on the list. I think where a lot of people are confused with this is Etsy said, without explicitly opting in, right? By them filling out a form to get something from you, again, with the exception of the EU where they have to fill in the form and check a box, that is them opting in to hear from you. And so you're doing it. All of this is happening outside of the Etsy ecosystem now because you're not even dealing with them giving you the buyer email on the transactional side of stuff. So we're dealing with real world email laws, not Etsy's terms of service necessarily. So as long as they're opting in, they've opted in to hear from us. We can send them to Etsy. We can send them to Shopify. We can send them just to a blog post, to a YouTube video, wherever we want to send that traffic, we can send it as long as they've opted in by filling out that form to get that thing.
I think the big thing here to make sure that's very clear is like Etsy is just saying we are no longer allowing you to see the email and be able to email using that from a customer. That's what they're saying. They're just saying like, no more, right? We're not going to allow you to collect that email and message those people. That we're not giving you access to it. Now, if people give you the email, that's a different story, right? They're giving you the email. They're saying, yes, I want that. Typing in their email, submit, right? That's them saying, yes, I want it. The other way, it was like someone was a customer. Yes, they're a customer and we can communicate with them, which I still think it's a weird rule that we can't at least communicate with those people for those first 4. That just seems kind of crazy. But I don't know. Some people were like, well, I think it's because, Etsy wants to come up with their own email program and start charging. I don't think that's the case. I just think like maybe it's either people have been abusing the emails, or maybe they just don't want people to be emailing because it is pulling people off platform. I mean, us personally, we've always taught to take the email address, get it, and then let people know more about your Etsy stuff. Like that's kind of what we've been doing, with also in mind though, if something happens with Etsy and you get suspended or banned or whatever, we still got our email list, right? So anyway, that's the big takeaway. Chris, any other questions?
No, I think that's it. Scott, do you want to give everybody a really quick recap of what happened? Is the sky falling? What do we do? How do we build an email list? Is email still viable? Can you just give everybody a really quick rundown of why we were here and let them know what we can do moving forward?
Yeah. So the very first thing that I will say is Etsy has just announced that they are no longer going to allow Etsy sellers to collect emails and be able to send emails to their customers the way that we've been doing it. And the way that we've been doing it is we've been collecting them through using a tool like Everb or Aweber or any other tool that allows you to do the integration. So they basically said no more integration as of February 5th, no more. And then after that, you're not allowed to do it. Now, are there people going to be scraping emails and building tools to do it? Yes, there probably will be. We're not going to use them. But that's the big news. What does this mean? Does that mean Everb email is dead and it's not going to be around anymore? No, it's just getting started actually. Because Everb email was created for the Etsy seller to deliver emails to people that are either interested or people that are customers. And you might be saying, well, yeah, but now we can't get the customer emails. No, you can't get the customer email that way, but we can get it a different way. And the way that we talked about was the very first thing that you should do is create a coupon code for maybe new customers, and create a landing page in Everb, and then give people a discount after they give you their email address. And if they give you their email address, you're giving them a code. The code basically is for them to buy something, which then will in turn turn them into a customer. It's basically just another way of getting the email. Etsy has no problem with that because those people are putting their email in and they're not just automatically going to start getting sent stuff. That's the big difference here. Okay. Now we talked about how can we do this? How can we get the email address? How can we get the coupon in front of these people? A couple different things. Number one is you can now create an image slot, okay? Or in your image slot, you can create an image, do it in Canva, and basically create yourself a VIP club or a VIP group for your shop, okay? Now, this is, again, where we talk a lot about building a brand. We want to be niche specific. We talk a lot about the bass fishing niche just as an example, which is kind of funny. But that's what we're talking about. Like if we are going to give a discount on one of our products, we want to know that we can follow up with those people. So that's what we're going to do. Now we can create this landing page in Everb email, which by the way, is going to be getting big improvements moving forward because, well, now that this happened, it's a good reason to do it. And Everb email and the team has already told me that that's something they're going to be working on. And so now what we do is we take that landing page. It's going to have a link. It's going to be a long link. We don't want to use that link. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy a domain name. You can buy it wherever you want, Namecheap, GoDaddy, Google, anywhere, right? Buy the domain name and make it simple. bassfishingvip.com or bassfishingclub.com. Buy that. That's going to become part of your image now in your image slot. Get 25% off your first purchase. Become part of the exclusive bass fishing club, right? And then give the link. That's the image slot. The other place is the announcements. The other place is in the description. The other place is in the first message that goes out to people that do purchase. So here's the deal. If someone purchases, would you want to give them another 20 or 25% off to get them to become an email subscriber? I would, because now I have them on my list that I can then follow up with. So that's another way to do it. So those are just some ways that we can do it very quickly. The other way we talked about, and this is my favorite way, is what we call the fishbowl method, which is a giveaway. And this is where you basically you're advertising your products as a bundle. Okay. And what I mean by bundle is pick 3-5 of your products, put them together as a bundle. And then you're going to advertise that, not through Etsy. We do it through Facebook, or you can do it on social media if you have a page, or if you have a group or someone that you know as a group, and you advertise it there. We like to use Facebook ads because we can directly target the right people. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get people to enter their name in the giveaway. We call it a fishbowl because it's like the old fashioned way we used to do it years ago when we had our photography business, is we would have people fill out their name and email address, fold it, put it in a fishbowl, and we'd mix them up and then pull out a winner. It's the same difference. It's just modernized. And then what we do is we pick the winner, and then we follow up with all of the other people that didn't win. And we go, hey, we don't want you to walk away a loser. Here's a discount for 20% off to our Etsy shop. Here you go. And then we get some sales out of that. And we know that we have people that are on our list that are potentially going to be buyers, customers. So that's it in a nutshell. I know I just covered a lot. If you guys want to see like our email strategy and our guide that we put together, it's our playbook, we call it. You can just, in the comments, just put email. All right. Just put email in there, or email guide, or guide if you want. And we'll see that. And then we'll be able to follow up with you and send you that. Okay. Now, just a little disclaimer here. You're going to notice that when we send you that, it's going to be a landing page. It's going to ask you for your email address. And then we are going to have you on an email list that we will then follow up with you, not just to sell you something, but to let you know about an upcoming live stream, an upcoming video, all of that stuff. So you see how it works? You just deliver value. You give them something that they want. We know you're interested in building your business. And so we're going to give you something for free, and you're going to walk away, hopefully, with a nice email plan. And then eventually you might want to become a student, or you might want to join us in Everb email, any of that stuff. So that's kind of how it works.
So Scott, are you saying that what you're talking about, if they sign up for that email playbook, that's exactly what we've been talking about doing in terms of an Etsy store for the last hour and 17 minutes. Like it's the same exact process, right? This is not like it's something new.
It works in every niche.
Right. We're going after the other side of this now, is where we need to focus. And that's on delivering enough value that we can get somebody's email and then start to follow up with them to turn them from a subscriber into a customer. And that is the marketing side of that. That is the business building side of this. And it's really where we wanted to see people focus anyway. Etsy's just forcing our hand on this a little sooner than we had hoped that they would.
Yep. Scorpion, is it Deity? Deity?
Yeah.
Okay. To clarify, this is probably for Assad. The automated order flow emails will stop and just use campaigns as needed. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay, cool. So just that feature is going away. That's the only thing that we're looking at. It's a pretty big feature, but that's the feature that's going away. But there's so much more that goes into it, right? Like when we have our email list, we can send out an email. We call it a broadcast email, but you can just send out an email to everyone on that list. You can also do automated campaigns that, once someone joins the list, we can drip out those over time. So it's an email marketing tool. All right. It's not just, for, getting the customer email. There's so much more. That's a feature. That feature is going away. Cool. Anything else, Chris, before we wrap up? Or Assad, is there anything you want to leave people with before we sign off here for the day?
Two things really fast. Anush said, I'm still not getting the landing page thing. I thought the new subscriber email couldn't be modified. So Assad, are people able to make changes and edits to that email that goes out when somebody signs up for their list inside of Everb email?
So right now, if they are on the growth plan or higher on a paid plan, they can. on a hobby plan, this feature is locked, but we are going to unlock it for them because now we understand that one of the features has been taken out. So people will be able to edit their campaigns.
And if you're on the growth plan or higher, all you have to do is go into your campaigns. It should be labeled as like welcome campaign number one, unless you went in and changed that. And then there is an edit button. And all you have to do is you can add in your promo code or whatever it is that you're delivering as the value into that email that way. And Scott, Michelle wants to know, she said, the instructions in the email class will be changed, ? And the answer is yes, to some extent. Scott and I have already started digging through a lot of the content that we've put out in terms of the courses and some of those kinds of things. And it really doesn't change much other than, if there's a video saying, hey, here's how you integrate Everb with your Etsy store so that you can send out the transactional emails. Obviously that will change, but the rest of the material that's in there is what we've been talking about on this live, creating an offer that's really cool for people in your audience to deliver them enough value. None of that will change because it's all exactly the same. The only thing that's really different is we're losing that transactional email side of this. And if you're looking for the email marketing playbook, like we've been talking about, again, comment, email inside of the comments, and we'll make sure we get you the link for that. But we actually read through that entire document today to make sure that it did not include any of those things and that it was really about the fundamentals and the principles of building an email list. And that's exactly what that resource is. So if you're looking for some help on how to do this whole email thing, now that the transactional side of this and the really nice lead flow that we were getting from Etsy is going to be going away here in the next few weeks, I would highly recommend checking that out. And again, just drop that below in the comments and we'll make sure you get the link for that.
Yeah, just drop email in the comments and we'll see that later and be able to follow up with you. I did see a question come in for like our newer class that we just taught in December, which is going to be now our primary course for people that are getting started and want to build out their brand on Etsy. It's 1, 2, 3 pod fast track. There is a section in there that we talk about connecting Everb email and then getting those first 4 emails set up. That is going to go away, all right, because it's not there anymore. So we are going to go in there. We are going to update that. And most likely, we're going to add in that training. We're going to add in the list building training. So this way here, that's included now. So there is some things that's going to be changing there. We're going to take care of that. We're already on it. And that's going to be happening probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. If you're on our email list, you'll hear about that. But yeah, anything there that has the 4 emails, that's going to probably be cleaned up, right? That's not going to be there. So yeah. All right, cool. So it's Robbie says, what did I miss? Go back and watch the rest of this at the beginning, and you'll hear all about it. So yeah, it was pretty big news. We'll probably do an update as well. And that way there we can hear from Assad, hear what he's heard. Maybe we can get some updates to Assad, maybe get you to come back on here in a week or two and we can get some updates, maybe even just some new things that have kind of come to the surface, things that we've learned, things that we've heard in the comments and all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, cool. Chris, is that it then? We ready to rock out of here?
That wraps it up.
Assad, I want to thank you. Chris, I want to thank you for taking time out of all of our days here, and all of you that have been here. I want to thank you guys. And if you want more information about this, number one, go back and watch this if you came in late. If you want to sign up for the Everb email, which I'm a big fan of, and I think you should, I'm going to go ahead and drop that link here. If you go to emailforshops.com, you can sign up there for the growth plan. You will get through that link. By the way, it's that link. That's my link. You will buy us a cup of coffee. We will actually, you're going to get access to another free month. So when you sign up for the growth plan, you get a free month free, or you get a month free. Yeah. So you'll get that. So if you go to emailforshops.com, that'll take you there. And yes, Everb email is alive and well. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to get better. And I can promise you that. All right. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, guys, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day. And we'll see you right back here on the channel. Take care, guys.